Wow. We're here. All right. We got audio? That thing working? Yeah, it must be. Hello, Marie. Ricardo. River of Life, South Carolina. Welcome. Glad to have you. Ron. Yes, indeedy. Otis. Maggie. Ed. Kane. Oh, Kane's here. Kane's hang out. What does Tom know about NDI 5 that I don't? I can assure you, nothing. Jamrock. Ken, welcome. Ken, I have an answer for you. The answer is yes, but there's one little thing I haven't finished doing on that thing. Ken was asking earlier if we were accepting Venmo, and so we're getting set up to do that. Yeah. Rick is in Orange Beach. Holy cow, Rick. You didn't come by and visit? Orange Beach is only just right down that way. Yeah. Take Note Technology. Mr. Sinclair, I hope you have answers for all our questions. I have answers. They may be wrong or require interpretation. What was it? Somebody asked me this really, really long question the other day. It was like, can this blah, 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 blah. When they got to the end of the question, I said, yes. And they're like, well, I don't understand. I said, well, you asked me, can this do this? And the answer was yes. And they were like, no. But what I meant was, I know. Week is early. Okay, good. Roberto is from Brazil. Welcome. Hello, Timothy. Glad to have you. From JHB. That would be Juniper, the planet Juniper. Really? Wow, that's amazing. Amazing. Let's see, let me get my social back up here so I can see. Also to Ron. Hello, Ron. Ron, we need to do lunch sometime. Just sit down and chat. And Clint, I'd love to do lunch with Clint, but Clint's up in Kentucky. But, there may be a way. Who knows? And John is here. And hey, guys, LOL Gaming. All right. HDR support. Context. Yes. Are we talking about this show right here on Facebook or YouTube? Or are we talking about my countdown clock stopped? Oh, look at that. It did, didn't it? Holy cow. It must have gotten to it got to that time. Oh, you know what? It's left over from last week when I did an evening show. Sorry about that. Let's see if we can fix that. How about that? There we go. Now we're better. Thanks, Rich. Gee whiz. It's good to have good friends that will look after your back. Wixton's here. Welcome. Glad to have you. And Rick says maybe Clint and I should get together. Yes. Oh, Clint's planning a trip. Oh, all right. All right. Welcome, Jim. Jim is FNN Friday Night Network. Yes. Yes, indeedy. I would love to have Clint come visit Fairhope. Bring your camper trailer and head down to Orange Beach where Rick is. Although this is a really busy time of year for that area. I've added an extra light over here, and I need to adjust it just a tad more because we're getting just a little bit of shadow there. Let's see. John said, did you change time zones? No, this has always been my time zone. But whenever I announce something, I always say the Eastern time because saying Central can be confusing to some people that only know Eastern and Pacific. So I figured everybody knows Eastern. So let's stick with what everybody knows. Yeah. So that's why. And then the timer, this timer right here was, the reason it was long is left over from last week when we did a special 8 p.m. show. And I forgot to change it back. So there you go. And this is just the little timer that's in the transition bar section in vMix. It's not a fancy timer at all. Yeah, mountain time is like, what, does the U.S. even have mountain time? Yeah, I know there's like central, no, eastern, central, and then something, and then Pacific. Yeah, that's mountain time. My clock is an hour off. Not here, it isn't. This is local time. Local time. Urban Media Showcase, welcome. I hear that NDI 5 will work on the internet. Do you think it will be better than SRT? Oh, good question. Good question. Let's hold that question until we get to the show. Yeah, we don't want to talk. Don't want to spill all the beans right now. Yeah. Somebody was accusing me the other day of having a really crummy chroma key. Well, this is not a crummy chroma key. This is a vinyl backdrop. Somebody else said I dyed my hair. And that is true. That is true. I dye my hair steel gray. Look it up. Look it up. Wixton says, I'm pretty sure I've got you 2 new followers. Say hello to, you're going to have to help me with pronouncing. Is it Tofi or is it Tofi or Tofi and Mikkel? Hey guys, glad you're here. Is it Uncle Wixton or is it Granddad? Yeah. Rich says, tell us all of your NDI 5 secrets. Well, I can't. Welcome, No Limits. Glad to have you from Sweden. Welcome, Sirkanth. I'm sorry. And Mikkel from Gothberg, Sweden. Welcome. Glad to see you. Glad to have you. All right, we got a minute or so left. Yes, indeed. Let's see. What are we thinking? We are thinking we need to do one thing on... Yeah, we'll do that there. Yeah, I do need to turn my phone off, Ed. Sorry about that. Let's see. There we go. Did that turn everything off? All the notifications and everything? And now it's just going to buzz. That might even be worse. Okay. Well, let's put it on something soft so that when it buzzes, it won't be as loud. We'll try that. Let's go to YouTube real quick. We've got 1 minute. Let's go to our channel. By the way, if you haven't seen a vMix tutorial lately, you really ought to watch them. I mean, if you've got just a few minutes to spare, it's a great way to stay up to date with whatever's going on with vMix and catch the latest, greatest in the tutorials. So, yeah. Let's see, can we do what we want to do here? No. Can we do what we want to do here? Maybe. Maybe not. We have 10 seconds to do it. Oh no, 10 seconds. Byron says, check your text after the show. What's wrong with my text? It looks fine. Blame Lars to get us in the game. Okay. Lars, it's all your fault. All your fault. NDI remote should be big. Ron, agree. I agree. They got all the Swedes are taking over this. Wrong text. Well, you know, you got to give me some context. All right, let's see. Hold on a second. I know we're over time, but I've got to get this one thing up and going. Can I get to it here? 1 second. Can I get to it here? No, can't get to it there. What if I get to it here and then go here? There we go. Is that what I was looking for? Yes. Yes. Great. Great. Perfect. Perfect. That means I can close that window. And sorry about this. Got to, it's just, it's an idiot thing. What can I say? Okay. This video is live now. All right. Got it. Perfect. 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 I do need to come to Sweden. There is no doubt about that. I think that would be just really cool. And not do it in the winter. Sorry, I'm not a winter guy. Okay. All right, so let's see. He would love our internet prices. Okay. Well, probably. I would not like your small spaces. I like big spaces. All right, let's go. Let's do a show, shall we? Let's do a show. Let's go to the show tab. Let's do a show. We're ready to do a show. Hit the show button. And you ready? Here we go. This is going to be good. All right, it worked. Yeah, of course, it works every week. I'm Tom Sinclair. Welcome to Streaming Idiot. So glad you're here. Really excited about today's show. Always excited about shows. I mean, it's just it's an exciting thing. NDI 5. NDI 5. Repeat after me. NDI 5. NDI 5. Yes. All right, I've already had the question. What is a pre-review? That's what we're doing today. Today we're doing a pre-review. We're doing a review of something that does not yet exist. At least it exists, but it doesn't exist in our world yet, but it will shortly. We're going to do a pre-review. We're going to talk about NDI 5 in the context, that's the big word in the pre-show, the context, in the context of what we have been told about it and what little pieces we can sort of pull together on our own. You may know some, I may know some. But wait, first, I don't want to forget this. Coming up, NAB registration, whoops, let me get rid of that lower third, sorry. NAB registration is coming, it's here. X-Keys has nailed down their booth, N6815. You can get a free guest pass courtesy of X-Keys using the passcode LV7242 when you register at nab.com or NAB show or whatever it is. You'll figure it out. But that's coming up October 9 through 13 in Las Vegas. It starts on a Sunday this year. That's unusual. In fact, I don't think they've ever done it that way. Generally, it starts on a Monday and runs through Thursday. Now it's going to start on a Sunday and run through Wednesday. So, yeah, if you didn't get that code, it's LV7242. You can just rewind the video and go back to it. Or don't, because you'll miss the live stuff, and you can just do that later. So there we go. Yep. So, NDI 5. Well, we had NDI 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then we've had like 4.3 and 4.5 and 4.6, and we may be still at 4.6. One of the things that goes on with NDI, and it's definitely a good thing, and a hat tip to the folks at NewTek for doing this, is that they reach out to their partners like vMix. Did you know vMix was the very first software or hardware product, other than anything coming out of NewTek, the very first software or hardware product to integrate NDI? It was. The very first was NDI. Now you think, what do Australians and NewTekers have in common? Well, they have a love for this live streaming thing. And I'm not sure quite how it happened, but I remember eavesdropping on a conversation between Martin Sinclair and Andrew Cross back in 2016 as they talked about networking and NDI and what New Tech was doing and what vMix was doing. And it was just so cool to be a fly on the wall when that happened way back then. That was at NAB 2016 when NDI was first introduced. And there was a lot of ho-hum, what in the world are we talking about? Here we are 6 years later, 5 years later. Yeah, 5 years later. And NDI 5 is being released. And what does NDI 5 have? Okay, let's get to do we have a graphic on that? We must have a graphic on that somewhere. No, I guess we scrubbed it. Yeah, we were having some problems earlier and we had to restart, and I think I lost some of my graphics. Anyway, there are three major parts to NDI 5, and there may be others that either I'm missing or that haven't been advertised yet. There is NDI Audio Direct, and this is going to work with some plugins. I know VST3 is one of them, and I saw the other one just a while ago, and the number didn't stick in my head. It wasn't a number I was familiar with. But this will allow audio to be shared over the internet, not just over your local area network. I mean, that's the big change with NDI 5, is that we've blown out the doors on the network, and we're going international. We're going down the street. And probably the most exciting one, well, the tied for the most exciting new part for me is the NDI remote. And NDI remote, I do have a picture of what NDI remote is supposed to look like. And this is going to be, and I think this is a screenshot of a cell phone. It appears to be a cell phone shot. And by the way, the folks at New Tech are giving away their NDI camera app to iPhone and Android phone users, giving away, i.e. free. So you'll want to rush right over to your store, Play or whatever the iOS one is, and get that app. It just, it's a download, runs on your phone, turns it into an NDI camera. But with the NDI remote, not only is your phone now a camera on your local area network, it's now a de facto SRT to a studio somewhere else remotely. So you can become a character, a guest on a show on your phone. Now, at this point, there's no indication that it does two-way communication, but I think that's got to be coming. I would think that the NDI remote is what that's called. That was just going to be a precursor to a vMix call type process. That's what I would do if I were New Tech. Once I had the bugs worked out on that, then I'd just make it bidirectional and throw in a little mix minus or echo cancellation. Something like that. And so that's going to allow phones and other similar devices to do that. The NDI bridge, and do we have a picture of bridge? Let's see. Is this bridge? Yeah, here we go. This is bridge. It looks a little bit like SRT. You'll have to have an IP address, you'll have to have a port, and you'll need an encryption key to join. So you've got looks like three modes there: a host mode, which lets others join your NDI bridge; a join mode, where you can join a remote NDI bridge; and then a local mode, where you can transcode local NDI streams. This is going to be interesting, and I can't wait to see it in service. The apparently tomorrow, is it tomorrow? Did I get the date wrong? Let me look that up real quick. NDI 5, yeah, boom. And there is actually an NDI5.com, but I don't think it has anything to do with the new NDI. Yeah, so let's see if we can see it right here. I had it just a second ago. So they had the news release this morning that introduced the bridge and the remote and the giving away of the camera app. And there is a upcoming show that they have. I'm trying to get a date for you on that. That is tomorrow, June 3rd, at 10 a.m. Eastern time. So tomorrow morning, Thursday morning, June 3rd at 10 a.m. Eastern will be an episode of the NDI TV that will introduce NDI 5. Whether or not NDI 5 will be released when that happens, your guess is as good as mine. This is the next logical step for NDI is for NDI to bust out of the local area network. Now, folks like BirdDog, and then, oh golly, the name of the other company escapes me at the moment. MediaLooks, I believe, have been doing this for a while, have been essentially, sending point-to-point NDI. But it hasn't been an official NewTek product, and my hope is that NewTek maybe has worked with those two companies and have said, what have you learned? How can we work with you to do that? Because we'd like to have our own version of that. So this is something that has already existed in the NDI ecosystem, but not as an approved or not as an official NewTek release. The NDI remote basically is taking what they've already got, which is the phone app, and kind of syncing it with the bridge. So they're just saying, okay, you can use the phone on the bridge. And we'll call it NDI remote. And it may have a different backdoor or something like that, but it appears to be the same technology. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not being critical at all. But it's logical and it makes sense. And it would have been the first question I asked is, can I use my NDI app on my phone to call in to a remote destination now? And the answer to that is yes, you can. So in some ways, it is a version of SRT. It appears to be. And, we may find out that there are different features that distinguish it from SRT. Nothing has been said yet about, the security, the reliability, whether there's set latency. My guess is that NDI will try to have the lowest latency possible, unlike SRT, where, if every pixel positively has to be there, then SRT is what you want to use to make sure you're adding some latency to the stream so you've got time to go back and pick up the pixels that you missed, the packets that you might have missed. I suspect that NDI wants to have the lowest latency it possibly can. There was some mention somewhere about WebRTC, and so I'll be interested to see if that kind of folds out there. Kane says that NDI 5 is to be released later in the month. So later in the month means not tomorrow. Yep. Choice TV says the NDI camera app is still not free. It's at 50% off. NewTek said they were going to give away 10,000 of them. Maybe they have given away their 10,000. I don't know. We will just have to see. Now, like anything else, like vMix Call, like SRT, this is going to be subject to your local internet and my local internet, if you and I are going to connect, and all the other internets in between. So if something fails, it's going to fail. We know that from our work with vMix Call and with SRT, is that when the power goes out, when the power goes out, ask the folks in Texas. When your data center goes down, and that's it. There's unless you've got a backup one in another part of the world that's not affected. So yeah, there we go. I'm sorry, collecting my thoughts. The folks at BirdDog have been working with NDI, obviously, since the very beginning, because BirdDog lives on the foundation of NDI. Every product that BirdDog has NDI in it. That's why it's special. That's why it's important. The NDI studio that first came out, converted things to NDI and then later from NDI. Those guys at BirdDog have introduced a new product that I don't think is shipping yet, but it could be. In fact, I've got a little video clip here. Let me cue this up. This is Dan Miles from, oops, how did that start all by itself? That's interesting. From BirdDog, and he's going to be introducing this new product. Sit tight. Let me see if I can't get this queued up. And you'll probably want some audio with that, won't you? Let's try again.
G'day, I'm Dan from BirdDog. We're really excited to be part of the NDI 5 launch. NDI has been part of our DNA from the very beginning. In fact, from version 1 of NDI, we've been producing products. Being so embedded with NDI means that every generation has been important to us, but NDI version 5 really is a step change in what it can achieve. It allows more efficient processing on various processors, it allows global reach, and it also brings to market new types of products. And today, thanks to the power of NDI 5, we're able to announce the BirdDog Play device. This is the world's smallest and lowest cost NDI decoder, supporting high bandwidth NDI as well as NDI HX. It even supports the new NDI bridge and remote protocols. Thanks to the NDI team and all of the developments that have come in NDI 5, we're really excited about today and into the future.
There we go. Okay, so congratulations to Dan and Eamon and all the folks at BirdDog on the upcoming release of the BirdDog Play, which looks like a mini decoder. The manufacturer's suggested retail price on the Play, from what I can gather, is going to be about $150 US. I may be wrong on that, but that's what I saw earlier this morning. Also, and I don't think it was part of that little clip that Dan played, but that BirdDog is also going to be releasing a software product, the Cloud Connect, which will ride on the back, I suspect, of NDI Bridge. Maybe with a different GUI, some different features that they're able to pull out of the API. So we'll want to look for that too. From what I can gather so far, all of the NDI 5 products, the bridge, the remote, and the audio direct, are free. You just download them from the NewTek site, from the NDI.TV, and you can use them. I think 4.6 is available now. for folks that may have been living under a rock for the last 5 years, NDI is a protocol that allows video to be transported between devices over a local area network and now over the internet itself with low latency. A unique compression allows it to go over Cat6 and be very high resolution, be the latency, at least on a local area network, equivalent with SDI, and with video and audio equivalent to what might be had over SDI. NDI 5, what we're talking about today, will bust out of the network and take that from any two locations in the world. They don't have to be in the world, they can be down the street. So that if you've got, let's set up a scenario where we might do this. We might have 3 cameras at a sports venue, and the cameras are connected by SDI to a PC that's connected to the internet. And all 3 of those cameras can now be available not just on the local area network, because that was the deal before, but now these cameras can be available as NDI sources to a remote studio. So this becomes a de facto SRT, but my guess is that it's going to have a much lower latency. The question will be, can you adjust the latency? I don't think I saw it. Let's see. Let's go back to the cloud here, to the bridge. And if we're looking at bridge information here, at least on the host settings, it doesn't look like we have the ability to pick any latency, and that's the only shot that I've got. But in that regard, it would mean that you're getting very closer to real-time action than you would with SRT set for 500 milliseconds or something like that. The other thing, and I guess you could have done this before, but just not as easily, is to have cameras that have NDI built in, like the bird dog that I'm using for this show right now, or the PTZ optics that I've got over here to the side, or the cell phone, and that those become NDI cameras, and that with, we'll have to see how that works. Can you just plug these cameras into a network and have them available? Or do you have to have a PC somewhere that is setting them up and attaching them as a remote or as part of a bridge? I mean, can I set up my PTZ optics or my bird dog NDI cameras at a venue somewhere and plug them into a local area network in that venue and have them send their video wherever I want it to go without having a PC involved? That would be interesting. That would be interesting. Ron, the NDI remote is not available yet. Anything that we're talking about for the most part is not available yet. We're thinking later in the month, quote unquote, later in the month. I've seen that 3 times, not the least of which, but the most recent from Kane, who works for NewTek. So Chris is asking, will NDI 5 enable tally, light, and talkback over the public internet? Haven't heard anything about talkback. Don't think I've heard anything about tally. I'll have to check again. But yeah, that would be very interesting if it were. Certainly, it would be a possibility, I would think. I mean, all the technology is there. It's just a matter of creating and making it work. Again, my guess is that NewTek is, we're in the current let's see, the current NDI right now is, let's find it so I'm accurate with it, 4.6. But when NewTek released NDI 4.6, that wasn't the first time they'd released anything that was NDI 4 point anything. They released NDI 4, and then they had a 4.1, a 4.2, etc. So we're getting NDI 5, and maybe 5.2 will include talkback, and 5.3 will include tally, and 5.4 will include two-way communication, a la vMix call. What would be interesting is if I can take this and connect to another phone. So I'm having essentially a call. Now you could do it through a third party, bring both sources into a PC, and then send both sources a feed. But there hasn't been any mention of that yet. So this is a real teaser, isn't it? It's like, yeah, we can do this, and it has all these possibilities that you and I can think of, but we're not going to know until it comes out. And my guess will be, and I applaud Kane for being quiet in the chat, because he probably knows a lot that he's not able to say. And I would be actually in the other category. I know nothing, and I'm able to say it all. No, but what they are talking about now and what we get released when NDI 5 released, there may be more. If I were a marketing guy, I would say, yeah, let's throw out a teaser about 3 different features today, and then maybe in 2 weeks we'll throw out another feature, and then the day before it's to be released we'll throw out another feature, and before you know it, when it comes out, it's got twice as many features as when it was first announced. And that would be a killer way to generate some mammoth excitement. Although I suspect this has probably created enough mammoth excitement in and of its own. Kane has said that the NDI bridge, not the NDI remote now, but the NDI bridge works with alpha channel, KVM, PTZs, tally, and metadata. So there you go. So that's already in existence. So Marie says now it's time to make up random things that NDI 5 can do. Yeah. Well, but that's the whole thing. That's what I love about this whole industry, is that it's piece parts. It's a Lego set. And I hear criticism frequently from people that just say, well, I just want to be able to stream. I just want to be able to stream. I don't want to have to worry about video or audio or all that kind of stuff. And I was like, okay, well, you're not living in the real world. And if you are, you're going to pay 10 times as much for it as you should. Because the ability to craft it and make it your own, the ability to craft it and make it do exactly what you need it to do, and if your needs change, to be able to change it to that, is the beauty of this live streaming stuff. And NDI is just a piece part of it. Yep. And Amnon tries to find other things that excite him, but of course he does. Yep. Okay, well, enough of that. Enough of that. That's the threefold. NDI is the bridge, which is going to be, from what we can tell, somewhat of an SRT similar device, which Kane says will include tally and alpha channel and KVM and PTZ. I'm not sure if that's PTZ control. I would think it would have to be PTZ control if he's going to mention it, because otherwise it's just a camera. Marie is so funny. She said, yeah, and the people behind these companies are listening to idiots like us and make our stupid ideas reality. Yeah, because they're valuable. That's the beauty of forums like this. Well, let's go to the post show. and let's share some questions. Can we do that? All right, let's do that. Be right back. Okay, let's see if we can't get the there we go. We'll get that one hooked up. And if we can't get some of your comments up here. All right. So that's the one from Kane. Kane Peterson works for New Tech. He is a sort of a combination of an engineer and a sales specialist, and a troubleshooter. And I think his job is basically to work with companies to help them implement NDI in a particular workflow. Very complicated. And hats off to him. Here's a good question from DJ Phil. Is NDI-HX, will it be transport the same as NDI? As you recall, NDI-HX is a lighter weight version. About 10% of the total NDI signal can be an NDI-HX signal. And what I'm seeing is that whereas before there used to be a distinction in encoding and decoding, that now, for example, with the Bird Dog Play, the Bird Dog Play will decode NDI-HX, it'll decode NDI. It now is going to be able to do everything in one box. So I think we're going to find that the wall between the two that used to separate them pretty seriously will begin to be brought down in terms of devices. Chris is saying, potential latency settings, I wouldn't rule it out. Now, Chris, do you know something that we don't know? Yes. And then Eric's like, yeah, we get it. We get it. DMX lighting controls? Brian, why not? If there's a signal path there and you can somehow get access to the signal path, I think we should. I think we should think of all the random things that NDI could do or should do. Yeah, we didn't mention that. Kane, thank you very much. The ARM ability. Let's see, do we have the graphic on that? We had a graphic, but I think we lost it when we had to restart. The ability to run on an ARM processor opens up a lot, and I don't know enough to be able to speak to that. Michael seems to think it will, but ARM are the processors that are built into phones, but I think they're also built into a lot of the Apple devices. So this could open up that world in a way that it hasn't been opened up before. Yeah, Ed, we all need a full serving of full serving. I'm not going to even post Marie's comment. There you go. That's right. There we go. Kane has got it. This adds native Apple M1 support on the new systems. So there you are. All right, let's see. On a different subject, yes, Yana did get to build that 18-core system. It's right over there. It's gathering dust, unfortunately, because I'm building other systems and getting paid for it. So that one had to sit on the sideline for a second. It's waiting to get put in a case. But the fact that it's got 18 cores means I just would dearly love to bring it over here and start using it for regular production. So here's a good question. Do we think that the new NDI 5 will pass through switches seamlessly, unlike SRT where you have to open ports? Well, let's see. Let's go back to this little diagram here. And it looks like you have to spec a port, so my guess is you have to open that port. Just reading between the lines, not knowing a whole lot about it. But yeah. So Otis is like, get Kane on the show. Well, if Kane wants to join the show, Kane, just make a note. And you're welcome in. Funny that you would mention that, Eric, because I actually maxed out my my i7 8700 this morning in pre-show. Now I am set up at 1080p 60, and I had a number of web browser inputs, and that's what had popped it up so big. So I think if I'd had the 18 core, it would have been a breeze. But it all depends on what it is you want to do, and how you want to do it. Yep. All right, let's see. Let's go back, see if we've got a question here that we may have missed. All right, Chris is saying the bottom corner encoder settings on your screen grab, and he's talking about this. And you notice in the bottom right-hand corner is the encoder settings. So that may be where the latency stuff gets set. Good catch, Chris. Good catch, Chris. Let's go back and see what else we've got there. Mikhail, I'm sure people will jump at the chance to correct anybody, so need not worry. And Chris mentions the phone app from Sierra. Yes, that's good. And Sierra has done a lot with the Apple products so far as NDI is concerned. And CAC, like the rest of us, we thought a gigabit network would be, how could I possibly fill up a gigabit network? Well, I did it the other day. I had 8 NDI sources. No, I had 4 NDI sources, 4 NDI cameras. And then I had other sources that came into one PC and were available on other PCs as NDI sources. And I blew up the network. So, yeah. Let's see. Lars asks, will vMix call be obsolete with NDI remote? And at this point, from what we can gather, NDI remote is a one-way video and audio. If it's, based on WebRTC, how difficult it is to set up that as its own. Well, maybe it is difficult. vMix on a phone uses it as a browser. To my knowledge, at this point, there is not a vMix call app for your phone. Would that there were. There is a vMix app I found out this morning. Let's see if we can pull it up here. Called Unofficial vMix Remote. UVR. Let's see if I can find a camera here. Yeah, I've got the camera disconnected. Well, I'll show you here. And this, at first I had hoped this UVR, and I think it's available for Apple. It's definitely available for Amazon. There's $1.99, and I think it's just a dressed up version of the web controller, because it doesn't let me go off the network. I have to be on the same network, and that would be the beauty of it, to be able to switch remotely. Let's see. Do I think that NDI will be the death of SDI in the near future? No. It's funny. When VCRs first came out, there was a great discussion, if you're old enough to remember that. There was a great discussion about, will this kill the movie industry? Will theaters cease to exist? Now, COVID aside, pre-COVID, the movie theaters around here were booming. There were 12 movies that we could see at one single theater for all the different theaters within it. And if anything, VCRs, I think, helped the movie industry and helped sustain it. There's not that symbiotic relationship here between NDI and SDI, but I think there'll always be a place for SDI. Of course, that's what the Betamax people were probably saying too. Our product is superior to VHS. There'll always be a place for a Betamax. The question that I had was, will NDI be the death of capture cards? Because, cameras will begin to be equipped with NDI, and so you don't need a capture card. And that cameras that you already have can be equipped with an encoder for not a lot of money. That means now that your video can go, straight into a network and to your PC over the network. But as somebody in the industry that builds and sells PCs for people to use, real people, it is rare for a PC to leave the workshop here without a capture card in it. There are very few PCs that we sell that are NDI only. Now, there may be some that have a single HDMI or SDI input. Most of those are used in places where somebody already has a switcher, like a Roland or a Blackmagic ATEM, and they just want to use vMix to do everything else but switch. So it has that single capture card. But I've got, a PC that I just built, just shipped with an 8-port SDI capture card because all his cameras are SDI. He's building into a legacy situation. He wants to be able to use the gear that he already has. I built a system for a new streamer, and he said, Tom, I want SDI and I want HDMI as inputs. We talked a little bit about NDI, but it was traditional cameras that he was interested in. The in larger productions, especially as people are doing new things and they're not trying to incorporate the old technology that they're already invested in, if they're doing new things, for example, we built a system for the Pascagoula, Mississippi Performing Arts Center, and used 3 of the BirdDog P200 cameras in there over NDI. Now, we threw a capture card in the system just to have one, but it wasn't part of the spec. And it was really funny because they came to us and said, can you help us spec this out? And I did. And they said, can you give us a quote? And I did. And they said, oh, well, we have to send it out for bid. So they did. And after like 3 months, I think we were the only bidder. Not that the specs were exclusive, because all the gear is pretty much universal. But I think the knowledge to put it all together and make it work is what the difference was. Keck is asking a good question. What are the use cases for the NDI 5 audio? I'll let somebody else get that one, because I was not I was not too sure myself. I couldn't agree more. Can vMix serve NDI outputs to multiple BirdDog Play devices on the LAN as well as to remote IPs at the same time? How robust a network would we need? Well, nobody's got a BirdDog Play, so we don't know. My guess would be yes. vMix can make something available NDI, but there's probably going to be some sort of NDI 5 thing, whether it's a bridge or something else, that's going to be between vMix, or maybe vMix integrates NDI to the point where you can make all those NDI and those bridge settings in vMix, so that bridge becomes a part of vMix. We will see. So that in vMix you can send your play destination. So you're going to say, okay, in vMix, we're going to send this NDI video, not just make it available on the network, which is what NDI does now, but we're going to pin that to that BirdDog Play. Or maybe on the other end, the BirdDog Play is going to say, okay, we want to get the video from the vMix desktop. Probably something like that. So Blackmagic is using Tally Intercom two-way video and multiple channels of audio over SDI. Yet they do not appear to be embracing NDI as of yet. Yeah, I suspect that's going to be the case. I mean, there's a whole BirdDog ecosystem, the Blackmagic ecosystem. And you don't bring a chicken into a fox into the hen house. Okay, Kane has answered the question about the Bird Dog audio. It's to use DAW audio software with NDI. And I think Chris has kind of nailed it here. I ran into this with the local school system. We wanted to be able to just use NDI on their network, and they said, no, we don't want you to fill up our network. Well, it's not going to fill up your network, but no, we don't want to do that. They were afraid of what they didn't know much about. Will NDI beat SRT for multi-campus streaming? Latency, I think, Ben, is going to be the key and probably the difference. SRT is, when it positively, absolutely has to be there, in 100% form, send it SRT. If you're doing multi-campus streaming, a few seconds of latency even, which is a huge amount of latency, won't make that much difference for people that are in a remote location, even though it's, a door down or 10 doors down or across town. I suspect it will be something you try, but it will be probably, and Kane can correct me, but probably more subject to network quirks than SRT because of the added latency of SRT that's there exactly for that reason. Eric, I'm beginning to think a 10 gig switch is not going to be enough. I think we need a switch that can be upgraded. You can buy it at 10 and then you pay $50 and let it be upgraded to 25 or 100 or something like that. I can see NDI 5 with Larynx Broadcaster sending AV to the studio from remote and hoping that NDI audio can now be sent from vMix in the studio back to the Larynx Broadcaster in the field and that's all I have. Sorry about that. I don't have enough text space. Let's see if I picked it up in another one. As talkback, that's what it should say. I think we're going to find people doing anything and everything they can and seeing where the limits are. Yes. Won't be enough, Jan. Still won't be enough. Morning, Chris. Yeah, Mikhail, I think it's more than politics. I think it's dollars because Black Magic, they're not giving anything away. NDI is giving it away. New Tech is giving it away until they're not. I mean, we're all embracing this NDI ecosystem where all this stuff works together and it's all free until it's not. So there's no such thing as a free lunch. Repeat after me. There is no such thing as a free lunch. something will be required somewhere, whether it's payment or acquiescence or what. No such thing as a free lunch. And I'm not saying that New Tech and VizRT are, you know, just some sort of devious companies that are going to suck us in and then they're going to put the clamp on us and blackmail us if we don't pay up today. But, you know, what if some nefarious person takes over one of these companies? Or what if the government gets involved? Oh my gosh. It'll be interesting to see. I'm an optimist. I don't think that'll ever be the case. If I had to build my entire business on NDI, that might be different. I would have to have some long discussions with somebody high up at New Tech or VizRT and get some assurances. I mean, you look at folks like at Bird Dog, you know, what if all of a sudden New Tech's wanted a license fee for every version of NDI that was somehow used in any Bird Dog device? I would suspect Bird Dog has already got something in writing to say that won't ever happen. But that doesn't mean it won't happen. It just means if it happens, it will be against that agreement. And then somebody has to take that agreement to court and have it. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, and I agree with Otis on the whole black magic thing. You know, it's their hardware. And if anything, the NDI might have actually increased black magic's business because it made people more conscious of the fact that there were alternatives and of the fact that they wanted a for sure, an SDI for sure solution. You know, there's still folks that have problems, have difficulty coming to a decision to be all NDI. Really? Really? I'm teasing. I've used it before. I used it once before. But I also like this look here. This is the pre-show look. Let's see, where is it? Right there. There we go. Because everybody's in there and it doesn't have anybody kind of pulling out comments to decide what's notable and what's not. And it is a little difficult for me to read these comments and be able to do it. Certainly couldn't do it during the show when I'm trying to make eye contact. I agree, Dave. Jack, I'm loving that comment. I am just loving that comment. You need a new network. But it also depends on what your NDI cameras are. If your NDI cameras are NDI HX, they shouldn't be impacting your network like that. But if you're sharing all sorts of things between PCs, that might end up being high bandwidth NDI. Yep. Well, 5 years down the road, Jordan, that might be bird dog. I am not smart enough. This is a out of the box lower third from vMix, and I just adapted it for this use. This is a little out of context, but this is when you're in a situation where people are speaking another language, but you know that language, and they don't think you know that language, and then they find out you do know that language. They're like, "Oh, well, maybe we better treat him nicely." Yes, yes. Oh, the other one. You mean this one right here? Oh, um, yeah, that is a compilation of a what is it? That is a compilation of a web browser input that is the vMix Social web output, and then I reversed the colors for the text part of it, and then I overlaid the same thing again to get the pictures in positive and not negative. Um, so yeah, and it just gives me a nice way of having everybody's comments on there. So yeah, it just depends on what you want. Depends on what you want. Good idea, Otis. Maybe. Maybe. The the proof is in the pudding. You know, does it work? Do you like it? Yeah. I like how vMix Social does emojis. Well, that's where it starts, Ed, right there. And then I crop it and flip it, invert it, invert the colors. Yeah. That's fun to do. Fun to do. All right, guys. Oh, if any of you are wondering about last week's show where we used the X keys XK12 XKE no XK12 joystick, and where I got it set up where it can use multiple PTZs so far as panning, tilting, and zooming is concerned. But I'm waiting for vMix to add a new API call that allows us to change the zoom speed. So currently that is not something that can be done with that controller. And I put in a, what do you call it, a feature request on vMix. And we'll see. We will see. Maybe it'll get some results, maybe not. Let's see if we can find that feature request real quick here. Forums.vmix.com. Feature request 5 viewing. Yep, looks like only 18 people have read it and nobody has +1'd it. Oh my gosh. Well, shall we use our bully pulpit? We shall. Let's see if we can go there. So, position. And sharpen. So this is the post. So I would love it if you would feel comfortable. And let's just reset that. Yep. You would feel comfortable going to the vMix feature request section and giving that a +1 so that we can set the zoom speed in a PTZ camera and have it apply to more than one camera in an X key. Yep. Just a little goodie. I think it should be easy to do. But thank you, Dave. Thank you, Dave. I washed the darks with the lights, Chris, and used lots of bleach, and everything turns out the same color. No, you know, for example, in this particular shot right here, if I went into color adjust, and I could change out all the colors here. And make them reverse. I'm not sure which direction I brought it in. Let's see. Well, let's just look on it. 1 second, I can answer that question. Okay, so basically I took this and I converted it to this, and I did it by how did I do it? Well, that's cool. I can't see where I did it. Position, I can see where I cropped it. Let's try something here. You know, it's funny when you do something and you don't remember how you did it. Is this it? No, that was just part of it. Layers? No. Chris, I don't have a clue how I did that. You know, you've probably heard, I don't know, maybe you haven't heard people say it, but you hear it said around here sometimes about somebody that's, you know, really, really smart, and somebody younger is, you know, is talking about, oh, that guy's forgotten more than I know. And it's kind of a mixed compliment, but the idea is that it's that you've known all this stuff in your lifetime, and it's sort of passed through your knowledge base, and so you've had an extreme knowledge base, but what's the current part of the knowledge base is not as great as the entire sum of it. Yeah. Ed said, I think you misread the thanks for your feature request. It says 180 thanks. Ed, I don't think that's the case, but now you've piqued my interest. I have to go look. Hold on. Feature requests. There is one feature request thank. Thank you, Ed. Ed has said thank you. All right. So there we go. Thank you, Ed. All right, Lars, glad to have you. That's right. Dave is one of those guys that has forgotten more than I'll probably ever know. Yeah, that's what it is. I've been thanking people 451 times, but I've only been thanked 181 times. That's okay. And I'm coming up on 1,000 posts in the vMix forum, if anybody's counting. Oh, and in 2 months, I will have been on the forum for 8 years. Wow. Didn't know it had been that long. And in 1 month, we'll be celebrating the 9th anniversary of the Streaming Idiots series. So there you go. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to go back to work here. So I loved having you with me today. And we will come up with some stunning content again for next week. We'll keep in touch with what's going on with NDI. And we also remind you that you can get a free guest pass to the NAB show, LV 7242, from courtesy of the folks from X Keys. And hat tip to Dave. That's right. I agree. Thank you, Maggie. Thank you, Miguel. You guys can see Maggie at NAB in booth N6816. That is not the South Hall, Maggie. That's the North Hall. That's interesting. I guess they're anticipating a much smaller show. Interesting. All right. Ed says that I have to go back. So there we go. But thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate that. We'll share more information as we had it. And we'll keep you in touch. And Maggie, there's a question for you. There's a question for you. IBC is set for December. Thank you, Clint. That's high praise coming from Clint. I'll just let you guys know. And they did get rid of the South Hall. How about that? Wow, that's huge. That's huge. That's hundreds of exhibitors right there. Okay. We'll leave with that. Toodles to everyone, and we'll leave with this.